I am back at the shop. I haven't been here for about 2 weeks. I painted this thing right before I left for a big trip to Paris, and so that means that the paint has more than cured. It is 100% ready to be assembled and then wet sanded. Right now, the first thing I'm gonna do is take down the entire booth. For the most part, I may not do the floor until we back this thing out. Depends on how easy it is to take that off, but for right now, I'm just gonna be tearing down the booth, and then the rest of today is gonna be assembling the Vette and just doing everything that we can to prepare it for the newly chromed Heritage wheels. I just got those in. So within the next couple of days, we should be getting this Vette together. The only thing that's gonna be holding us back really is putting on the new wheels, and that's because I have to order the new tires, wait for those to come in, and then get them mounted. As most of you guys know, the wet sanding process is really not fun, and it's really time consuming and all that. And then additionally, after we're done wet sanding, then we're gonna have to go ahead and cut and buff it and make it look 100%. So I don't plan on saving any of this plastic, pretty much because it's deemed useless now that it has all this dust on it. Obviously we don't want to use it for another project and have it blowing all this current dust around. So pretty much what I'm gonna start doing is just start cutting everything down because right now we have steel wires going this way, and then everywhere else we all have just normal like nylon. And so I'm just gonna start cutting all those. Because the car is cured now, it's not an issue if anything if the plastic drops on it or whatever drags across it. Obviously we're cutting and buffing and wet sanding, so any like minor stuff that's gonna get on it, really not a big deal right now. Whereas if we were just done painting it, it would be a really big deal because the plastic that laid on there could just cure into the clear, as far as what I've heard from George and everything else and past stories. So right now, I'm pretty much just gonna start cutting everything down, and I'm sure you guys won't be able to see halfway through because it's just gonna fall on top of the camera, but I'll show you guys when I'm done. What would be ideal would be to have some kind of setup like this where we have a permanent piece of plastic just like this. And so we would just move it all the way up, scrunch it up in there, and then whenever we wanted to paint a car, we would just bring this all the way across here. But we're not gonna do that just because I really don't plan on painting cars all that often. I really just wanna paint like the Cressida, and that's really all I have plans for now. And so I really don't need this big thing in the way right now, just because I really am not gonna be using it all that often. So essentially I'm just gonna take it down. But this is kind of the idea. And there was a similar setup in a family friend's kind of like warehouse area where they were painting like big like trailers and stuff like that. So they had to create their own booth, and they had a similar setup. So that's kind of how I had the idea of just having the two wires like this going across here. Now that we have all of the paint prep stuff off of the car for now, for the most part, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the Heritage wheels, open them up. I've yet to see them at all. My dad did open up one, took a picture for me while I was out on vacation. But I'm gonna bring those in here. We're gonna open them up and probably set them up to the car, see how they look. So like I said, one of these boxes was already open. I didn't even really get to take a chance to look. This is a front, I believe. Yes, this is the front. So I sent out my Heritage wheels to 3-piece. Basically, we got the faces and the lips chromed. The hardware was already chromed, but basically they took it all apart, got the stuff chromed, put them back together, and sent them back to me. I've got one pair here and the other two on the car just to kind of see how it's gonna look. Right now, they are so shiny that it just makes the paint look super dull. We really got to get this thing wet sanded and buffed as soon as possible. I am so psyched to get this thing done and finished and be able to actually drive it. It's gonna look so clean and nice. All the wheels look amazing. Obviously, after the triple chrome treatment, it's gonna make these wheels pop way more than they did whenever they were just polished. And then it's also gonna make it a lot easier to clean these things, or at least that's my hopes.